not only for the friendship we've made all these years and tasteful, thank God for Tastefully Simple, but you've just got a connection with a friendship and that helps you push forward. And that's how I feel.
Welcome to the Other 99% podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Duck, a coffee-loving direct sales enthusiast who's obsessed with a good digital system. Come join me for a realistic look into the world of direct sales. We'll explore inspiring perspectives, learn about unique business tips, and celebrate success stories that often go untold. Because on the Other 99%, every seller matters. Hey everyone, it is me, Lisa, and welcome back to another episode of the Other 99%. I am here today with Susan Larimer, our co-host, and two lovely ladies that we have met through the Modern Direct Seller Academy, Vicki and Dawn. Welcome, ladies, and I just want to jump over to Vicki. Why don't you jump in and tell us who you are, what you do, and all that stuff?
Hi, everybody. I'm Vicki Hinkle-Lagasse. I'm with Tastefully Simple for 23 years now, and I live in Stevensville, Maryland. And I joined way back when my kids were little, wanted an out.
I think there's many people who want that, right? All right, Dawn, how about you? Who are you? Let us know who you are.
Dawn Hudson. I moved from Maryland almost 3 years ago to Sweet Home, Alabama, um, as they say. It is pretty much paradise down here, but the unfortunate thing is I have no other taste buds with Tastefully Simple down here. So that is how Vicki and I have kind of really connected. And I've been with Tastefully Simple for 14 years. It'll be 15 in January, and I've been with a lot of other direct sales, and I just thought I was a loser because I could never get it off of the ground. And once I hit my first trip with Tastefully Simple, I was like, I think I have found.
Well, I think the thing is, once you find your passion, once you find the product that you could truly stand behind, that's when you start to see success. So, and thanks for putting that song in my head, because it's probably not the same song that's in your head, because in my head now I have Kid Rock singing, and I'm sure you don't have Kid Rock because I'm like obsessed.
I have Kid Rock
Okay,
too.
I am obsessed with Kid Rock. So,
Oh, that's awesome. I'm thinking of the movie.
so it's like in
So
my head, I
funny.
had that over and over. I was like, oh my God, now am I going to be able to think of my questions?
Oh my goodness. So Lisa and I know Dawn and Vicki from the Modern Direct Seller Academy, and we know that they love working together. They're constantly encouraging each other. So tell us how you met. Obviously, you lived in the same area when you met. So tell us how you met and how you started collaborating together. I'll go to you, Vicki.
Okay, so we were talking recently that we can't remember exactly when it started, but it was either a meeting with the group, how our leaders used to have meetings all the time, or it was a conference. And when we were looking back in pictures, it was 2016 and we were in St. Louis. So for our conference, and pictures, they tell everything. But we have roomed together multiple times and just we connect because we both love the product of Tastefully Simple, and you work through changes in a company, and that's just how we keep hanging on to help each other with everything.
So Dawn, you guys didn't know each other before? Like you weren't in the same downline, I guess is what I'm getting to. Are you in the
Yeah.
same? So you are in the same downline?
Mhm.
Okay. But you're not sponsors, or like one of you guys haven't sponsored the other, so it's just like you're in there together and sideline sisters sort of thing, and
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah,
Love
we
it.
had an upline that was not always supportive, and so we connected real quickly. And Vicki would she'd have a question, and she would reach out to me, and she would be like, I know that Dawn can give me the
Mm.
straight answer.
An honest answer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's just like you help each other constantly with stuff, with anything. And it's just a good support system when you have way back when you used to hear the goal buddy system. Well, that's what kind of like what we
Mm.
are.
So did you ever see each other as competition being in the same
Never.
company?
Mm-mm. No.
Interesting,
Yeah.
because that happens a lot.
When we were in Maryland, yeah, when we were in Maryland, we were pretty far apart from each other. I don't feel like any of us, I mean, I've never felt that way. It's just like a sisterhood, actually. You kind of like work each other through it. If you can't make an event, you pass it along. If you need a product, you reach out to another consultant. Well, now we're ambassadors now that the changes have happened, but you just kind of work together. How about you, Dawn? I don't know if you've ever felt.
I felt more competition when I was in Maryland because the little area, not little area, but the area that we lived in, there was a lot. It was very oversaturated with consultants.
Mm,
So there were a lot of times, I'd look at reports and go, dang, she beat me by this much, or yay, I actually like surpassed her, or
Mhm.
stuff like that. But here I have no competition. I am it. And I am the one that's out here
yeah.
trying to make the company known.
That's awesome.
I
So,
mean, don't get me wrong, at conferences, when I would see these girls on that stage and see how many six figures they were making, I'd be like, oh, I want to be that.
mhm.
Don't we all, right?
Yeah. But that's like encouraging. That's like something you get to
Yeah.
work towards. Like not competition, like, I'm
No,
stealing your customers
no.
competition, but more like, hey, she did that. I can do that. I can up my
I
game
did have an
now.
experience this past fall when I had, because I'm in Stevensville, which is pretty a rural area. It's like going towards the Eastern Shore, our Ocean City area. And I had an event that, I'm trying to make myself alive over here because I just moved over here. It'll be 3 years in July. So I'm kind of rebuilding in a new area and it's just a little different. But I had an event that I signed up for and I registered. I paid my 20 bucks. It was literally down Route 8 from my house, 5 minutes. And I show up and I'm there pretty early. And there's only one other consultant there. They direct me to the area. And do you know if it was another Tastefully Simple consultant?
Mm-mm.
And there's not many of us in the area. And it
Well,
tells you that that person for that event was so unorganized. I was like, come on.
Hmm.
So I was
yeah.
that was my only, I
Oh,
think, disappointment and competitiveness that I was like, oh, I didn't even talk to her. She was so focused on setting up her table.
I was
I
gonna
didn't
say,
want
how
to,
did you handle that?
I
So,
didn't, I didn't make her
yeah.
feel bad. Her husband was with her. I think he saw me. But I just kind of scooted my way out.
Oh,
And I mean, who got their thing in first? Who knows?
right. That's just awkward for everybody.
It
That's just
was.
unfortunate.
so
Yeah.
And
did both of you did you both do the event? You walked away or?
you're only allowed one for per company.
Okay.
Mm,
So, but I did years ago got stuck at an event when there was two of us there and the other girl stayed and I was like, seriously? It was in another area, Crofton, I think. And it was odd, but she had other products than I did.
yeah.
I didn't have everything, so it is what it is.
I've always said that, because they've asked me this many times being with Epicure, what would you do if there was another Epicure person at the event? And I'm like, I don't know. I wouldn't see that as competition. They could have a booth right beside me because my approach and their approach is going to be totally different. Now, I'm not going to be the one jumping in your face. I'm going to be the more laid back one. And people are going to be drawn to different booths for different reasons, right?
True.
They might walk by their booth because they're in front, sort of like, shark mode, I always say, or they come to me because they see me like welcoming them into their space and taking the time to do what they want to do. So, um, yeah. And I totally get it that the companies like try to limit that, but there's only so much
Mhm.
that the company could do, right? You were right saying that it was the organizer's fault for that.
Yeah.
Coordinator.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a funny story on that. Um, I went to an event. It was probably about 3 hours from our house with one of the girls on my team. We did it together. And we went the night before. We set up our tent, put up our sides, did all that. Had to be back at like 6:30 in the morning to get everything together because it opened at 8.
Mm.
And we're taking all of our sides off and setting up all of our stuff. And my team member comes to me and she goes, look across the way. I said, okay. And I look. There was another Tastefully Simple gal directly across
oh
from me.
no.
Oh my gosh.
And I we were brand new. We'd never done it before. I was told by somebody else, you would you would do really well there. You should look into it. Looked into it, sent in the application, the fee, they accepted it. I'm just doing as I was instructed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was another Tastefully Simple girl. She's done it. We talked. Didn't know her until that day, but we talked, and she'd been doing the business for 18 years, and she'd been doing that event for 18 years. And she could
Crazy.
not
Oh,
believe
so she was like, "What? Who is this girl?"
Oh, so what did you do?
she could not believe that we stayed. We both stayed. And I mean, she chewed the organizer out because she's like, I've
Yeah.
done this for 18 years. What are you doing to me? But
Mm-hmm.
it ended up working out for us because there were times that she ran out of something and sent her people over to me, and then vice versa. But then there were also people, and I'm not a mean person at all, but there were people that were like, we love Tastefully Simple, but we're not supporting her. So happy to see somebody
Oh,
else.
Yeah.
Just like
So,
Lisa said. Yeah.
oh, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
so you can make it work
Wow.
as long as you're not mean about it.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And I still to this day I have customers that order from me back in that event.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's cool.
Okay, so
Interesting.
let's circle back to the collaboration part because Susan and I are all about collaboration. So tell us
Mhm.
what do you work together on in your businesses? Like how do you collaborate with each other?
Well, I feel like Dawn has really helped me a lot with the Oh My High and any of the new systems that we've had to learn. Like we collaborate constantly, I feel like, don't you, Dawn?
Well, it's funny because when the Oh My High came out and we were introduced, to signing up, we're like, let's do it together.
So let's give everyone, in case people don't know what Oh My High is. Lisa, give us a face behind Oh My High.
Lisa, jump over to Lisa. So Oh My High is just basically a templated website builder. So for people who want to have their own branded website, but don't really have the tech skills and don't have the ability to put together a full-on web page, Oh My High is a platform that allows you just to bring over your domain if you choose to, set up your branded website and use templates that Oh My High provides for us. So it's basically a drag and drop website builder, and it's super. I'm sure these ladies will jump into it, but it's super easy to use. And honestly, it's something that every small business owner and especially a direct seller needs to have in their back pocket to brand themselves online. Like I might be a little biased. Yeah, it's definitely worth something to take a look into for sure.
So how do you two work together on that? Are you like, do you have like working sessions where you're both working on your websites at the same time? Or is it just like a back and forth
We did,
conversation?
yeah. We didn't originally, but we do now. We have like a whole little group of people that we meet. We were doing it once a week. Dawn pulled all that together, but it's basically her and I when we would, feed off of each other and she'll, can you look at this? And she would send me something and vice versa. And we would just kind of like collaborate on the details and the info and is it too much? Is it the spelling and the words and all the pictures and just she would send me the template and I would literally we would just talk it through. And we just don't know what people are going to expect. And that's why we bounce off ideas, I guess, off of each other.
And we just want to make sure like the link goes to where it's supposed to,
Yeah.
because sometimes
Mhm.
we get so busy just doing the work part of it, we don't follow through to make sure that it's taking you where it's supposed to be taking you.
Yeah.
And I love how you guys use Oh My High because especially now that you've transitioned over to this new website with Tastefully Simple, it's not always as easy to get people to the links that they need to be. And it's not a simple like, for example, if you're using my website, it would be like lisaduck.com/shop or something like that, right? It would be tastefully simple dot and all these characters and stuff after a forward slash. So it's just easier to use, and this is why I'm saying how important it is. And you guys, you might not feel like it, but you guys have mastered this, like using Oh My High to drive your people where they need to be, right? So I love that because and you guys are like my groupies when you come on the live support calls. You always have the questions and you keep the calls
Mhm.
going, which I absolutely love. So,
So I did a really
We-
cool, Becky actually announced it, the egg extravaganza, like hiding 5 eggs,
hmm.
having your people find them. I hid them, two of them, in my website
Awesome.
Mm.
Awesome.
to make them realize. And when I did a live, I said, yes, I actually have a website. How many of you have gone over and checked it out? And then I hid 2 eggs over there. And so one of the girls found the egg and I said, now you know I have a website.
That is so cool. And
I
you could
love
take
that.
that, incorporate that into something, say for Mother's Day where you're hiding
Mhm.
roses all over your website. Like, can you imagine that? Like
Mhm.
that's brilliant, Dawn. I love it. I love it.
That's a great idea, like doing for the whatever next holiday. It's brilliant.
Okay, so what strengths do each of you have? Like Lisa and I love working together. I love working with her because she is the tech savvy one, and I'm like the organizer and the communicator. So, what do each of you bring to each other?
I feel like Dawn's more techie than I am, for sure.
As Dawn shakes her head like,
Uh,
ah.
I don't know. I don't
Like,
know.
I'm not
I feel
sure.
my way through. I'm working on my site now. I just made up a Cinco de Mayo recipe book and I want to pop it
Mm.
onto the top of my Oh My High with a fluent form in there. And I'm like, holy crap, I got to go all the way back to the beginning and relearn all of this because you
Hmm.
forget.
Yeah.
So this is something that her and I will be working on very shortly.
But this is a great thing that you guys can collaborate together with this because, one recipe book, you guys both provide recipes, somebody does it up, and then you work together on getting that lead magnet out there, that freebie, and you're generating like leads in your sleep,
Mhm.
right? People are finding this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was going to share it. I was going to share it with Vicki too, so she can put it out on her site as well, because she has different contacts than I do.
Yes.
And
Right, right. That's one of the benefits of being
right.
with the same
Yeah.
company, for
And so I
sure.
just thought,
Well, we learned in that little group too, right, Dawn? With the girls that we meet like once a week, like they have two of them do the same kind of a thing. And one they take turns, I think, wasn't it right that they said one week one girl does week the recipes, the next week the other girl does. So they don't do everything, or it's the months. So they take
Mhm.
turns. It's just time consuming. You could be stuck in Canva for hours, a whole day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
yeah. So when you collaborate, you get like double the output
yep,
for
yeah,
half the work.
if I do something, I send it to her. I try to share as much as I can because she
Yeah,
helps. She's so helpful. And then like I do, I'm the spelling nerd and the verbiage nerd. So
that's me.
so if I
No.
Well, Lisa, no, that's not spelled right.
so less is more. That's my thought of all the time. It's just you
and
get your
Vicki's
point
the
across.
organizer. Vicki's the organizer. She's always like, all right, sit down tonight, make up your plan. What do you got to get done? She's my mama saying, all right, let's get this done. You know what you got to do. It keeps me on.
Focus,
Yeah,
focus, focus.
yeah.
Just a funny
I
thing,
love
you guys are
that.
talking about spelling and like Susan's always like so perfect with that. And then she sent me the questions and I'm like, oh my God, Susan has a spelling mistake. And it's like, oh no, that's just the American way. I'm like,
I know sometimes, like she puts a U in flavor. I'm like, there's
it's
no
like,
U in
yes, there is.
flavor, but there is in Canada.
Just like color and favorite and all those things. And I'm like, and
Yeah.
then it's like, oh yeah, okay. And I have to remember that when I'm like doing most of my stuff because like I would say probably 80%, maybe 90% of my interaction is with US people. And it's like, oh yeah, can't spell it that way, Lisa. It's like, but yes, you guys, it's almost like you guys are mirroring us, right? It's like you got the tech side and then the
I know.
organization
It's
side. I
funny.
love it. I love it.
So
So I'm
funny.
just curious,
Yeah.
was there anything that surprised you when you started working together?
I think we have a lot more strengths than we think we do. When
Mm,
you're really put to the test, um, to figure something out, you're going to figure it out because you want to help that other person.
It's so
mhm.
satisfying when we figure something out together too. It's like, look, we get it,
Yep.
we got it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've
Yeah.
put so much time and effort and financial commitment into this, and I said we are not giving up. So,
Yeah. I mean, I had another direct seller and she was talking about, all the things that she learned being a direct seller, that you don't just sell your product, you're learning to use so many technologies and platforms and systems, podcasts. Like now you can say you've been on a podcast, and there's so many things you can add to your resume. Whereas before it was just selling a product. But I feel like we have the opportunity to learn so much more, that personal growth, the business growth. It's just an amazing
And I
place to
love
be
that you
right now.
guys like you're standing out above the crowd, right? I mean, doing things that are
Yeah.
making you um be more searchable on Google, doing things that are just like I said, like the links, having them easy for your customers and potential leads to find. It's like you're standing out, and that's like yeah, it's applause to you ladies because you need
thank
it,
you.
right?
Well, it
Because
made us feel good when you reached out. I was like, man, what an honor. I'm like, why us? Because we
Little,
were
we're just
quiet at
little
first.
people.
because
We
Yeah.
were quiet.
your story needs to be heard, right? That's the whole premise around the
Yeah.
podcast. It's like,
We were
yeah, I'm tired of
terrified.
just you guys are doing great. I'm just tired
Yeah.
of just the top 1% of the companies getting recognized. And I was listening to podcast after podcast, and it was like these people who are making 6 or 7 figures on there talking about it's like, yeah, but the other 99% is not doing that. Would they do that? Yes. Do they need a little bit of push? Yes. Do
Mhm.
they need the encouragement? Yes. But they also need to be able to share their story. So I am so excited that you ladies have joined us, and we love just chit-chatting with you. So yeah, thanks again for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. We've come a long way because we were quiet, right, Dawn?
I am a very quiet person. Don't put me on. I will never be the first to ask a question unless you say, Dawn, do you specifically have a question? I will be the very last one to ask a question.
Well, after a while, I would say to her before our, support calls, I'd be like, Dawn, what do we got to ask? What are we going to ask Lisa this week? Write it down. That's another one. Write it down because,
See, that's my
we
mama.
got
Yeah.
intimidated. We got intimidated, didn't we?
I still
Well, it's
am.
Oh,
no,
Still am.
you
Oh,
guys are the life of the live support calls, and I mean that because that's the whole purpose of getting together, and even in any kind of
mhm.
collaboration, not necessarily just the Oh My Live support calls, but it's, getting answers to questions that you have. Like, how can I help you move forward? And we're there to collaborate. We're there to bring our brains together to make it work. Because let's face it, we're all in this business for the same reason. It might be yes to make friends and family, but we all are in it to make money, or else we wouldn't be running a business. So let's try and help everybody be profitable and work together, right?
So what advice would you give to other direct sellers who are thinking about teaming up with someone? Is there some kind of like personality things they should look for, or what makes a good partner?
I think
I
somebody that's
mean,
willing to learn.
yeah, totally
Mhm.
that and listening to each other. Like we both have our ideas all the time, but learning is huge for us. I mean, that's all we've been doing since what, November, Dawn? It's learning.
And we never feel like we're learning fast enough. And then something else is thrown at us.
I
And then,
know.
I mean,
and then it's
Becky's
like, whoa.
great with everything. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
amazing, but it's a lot.
Well,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
2025 in business, right? I mean, there's just so many things. I always I don't know whether this is a bad comment, but I always say to people, it's not your grandma's Tupperware parties anymore, right? And it's you just got to do what you need to do to make your business thrive in 2025. And that sort of rhymed, and I didn't intend that to, but
That did rhyme. Good job, Lisa.
so do you have like any suggestions on a way that direct sellers could start to create like a collaborative relationship with others? Like was there something that you did at the beginning to sort of start connecting, or was it just like, "Hi Dawn, I'm Vicky. Hey Vicky, I'm Dawn, and let's go."
Well, tell the story about our last conference because I was kind of out of the loop.
Well, so our friendship, we've had a friendship, but never as strong as we have right now. Um, and she always knew that she could contact me to get the right answers no matter what was going down. I would always tell her the truth. So it came time for our next conference to sign up, and it was literally maybe a week or 2 weeks before conference. And I said, "You're going to conference, right?" I was like, "I need a roommate." And she says, "No, I wasn't planning on it." And I'm like, "You better get on it." Um, because, and she did. And it was the best because not only do we have the friendship, it just keeps getting stronger and stronger. And now we know that we can't go to conference anymore without each other because we're all going to take different pieces away. And then we can still come back and collaborate on what we've learned instead of, you know, how when you go to conference and you're so hyped up and then you leave and then, oh, life happens and you go back home. Now we have somebody to hold our feet to the fire and we can talk about what happened.
And we make each other accountable all the time. Like we're always like, she'll text me, "Are you getting on the call? Are you getting on my high?" Don't forget the Tuesday night meet. It's like constant, keeping each other accountable for all the meetings we have. And it's just a different
Mhm.
world for us, not only for the friendship we've made all these years and tasteful, thank God for Tastefully Simple, but you just got a connection with a friendship and that helps you push forward. And that's how I feel. I don't think she would have stayed, and I don't think I would have stayed unless we really connected at the last conference because there's been a lot of changes and we're learning still to this day.
Yeah, that's why we reached out to both of you instead of doing a podcast with each of you alone, because you're always on the calls together. And when one person says something, it's like, well, Dawn and I, or when Vicky and I were working on this, so we knew we had to have you
Well, I didn't
together.
realize we were
It
doing
sounds like
that.
you've also,
It's a
no,
good
yeah,
thing.
it's great though. Yes. But it sounds like you also have like a weekly group where others were invited too. So how did you build that group? How did that come about?
I did it. I said, we are all in this Oh My High together and we're tastefully simple. And we may have questions that pertain just to tastefully simple, like how did you pull that in, or where did you find that in our website or our back office or something like that. And it wasn't just to exclude everybody else. It was to move us tastefully simple people forward.
And she
Got
got
it.
the
Yeah.
people with the Oh My High as well, the few people, and they've had it for a lot longer than we've had it.
Hmm.
But some of them still don't have the CRM, which boggles my mind.
Yeah,
Because they're comfortable with what they had, you know.
yeah,
Change is hard.
Yeah.
It is hard.
Yeah.
it is.
And anytime you see someone else's website, you're like, ooh, I want to add that piece
Squirrel.
to mine. You get so many
Yeah,
ideas. Every website is
It's
completely
mind
unique.
blowing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It
I
is.
found
It
myself over
is.
the weekend
My
over on Lisa Duck's looking.
I was gonna say, don't do that. My mind changes like
Daily.
every day.
That's where the cookbook
I,
came
I
into play.
I get a new idea. Oh, did you find a
No,
cookbook on there? Like, okay. I'm like, because I probably had one at one point.
no,
I'm like, but I thought I took them all down because it's like Epic Year's not there anymore, right?
no.
No, it's great. I mean, I look at other people's sites for inspiration too, and it's kind of funny because Becky and Jeremy will ask me like, "Oh, whose site do you see that needs a shout out?" It's like, I don't know. Now I go looking at everybody's site. It's like, oh my God, look at this, look at this. Look. So yeah, it's great, but it's great that we have the community too to bring everything together. And I love that you guys have, and it's not like you're excluding everybody about working with the
Mhm.
Tastefully Simple. You're working smart, not hard, right? I mean, you guys have a branded site and there are things that are specific to your company that should be on there. And there might be somebody else who has a better way of doing it. Not necessarily better, that's a bad word, but has like a way that you prefer better than how you're doing yours. And you can collaborate and bring it together. So I absolutely love that. But
And even like if we're not doing like a live Zoom, we still have a chat going on. And somebody, I don't know, last week was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't figure out how to do this." And of course, I wasn't near my computer, but somebody else was like, "Try this." So it's not.
mhm.
So you are stuck in the moment, and sometimes we just can't wait for the Oh My High support.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
so that's
Yeah.
where it's become very helpful.
Because I feel like some of them are a lot more comfortable with doing things than others. So then our message
Mhm.
is constantly going with things throughout the day, throughout the week. So if people get on, like the one girl, she was invited to do it's a crazy idea, but it's a bridal like registry type of thing. And we thought it was a great idea. And I threw in there, do a scroll and shop for a bridal, registry. So we'll see if what comes up with it, but she's in our group. And I thought, it's great that it's constantly communication going on.
Great. You could do, I could see you got my wheels going because you could have a form with all like the bride's wishes on
Yeah.
there, sort of like a wish list, and you could check it off and these people can order it and then connect with them to pay by their credit. Oh, there's so many things that you could
Be a
do. So
training coming up on that.
Yeah. You're
so
you're
so
welcome.
I mean there's all kinds of stuff. Yeah, so much stuff that you could do. All right, ladies, you know I'm going to ask you this question because I prepped you for this. So I'm going to jump over to Vicky first. Vicky, I want to know what is your favorite quote or piece of advice that you think every direct seller needs to hear?
Less is more. When I see
Love it.
sites and I see verbiage, and Dawn knows because we had this talk, when you get an email as a person yourself from a person that sells something, they barely read that email. They don't read it to the end. So my dad has always taught me less is more.
Very wise.
Love it. How about you, Don?
Mine is you don't have to do it all at once. Just keep showing up.
Mm,
And that's what we've been doing.
Perfect.
yeah. Yeah.
And it's going to get you where you need to be. It is. It
Yeah.
is. So. All right, ladies. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. And I know that there's going to be a lot of takeaways. People are going to find inspiration in all that you've said on this podcast. So thank you so much for joining Susan and I. And we will see everyone again next week on another episode of The Other 99%. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to listen to the podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you would take a minute to rate and then review the podcast, I would absolutely love it. And if you know someone who really needs to hear this podcast, please feel free to share it with them. More listeners, the better. And if you know someone who would like to be a guest on the podcast or you yourself would like to be a guest, be sure to check the link in the show notes or visit lisaduck.com and click Be a Guest. We'll talk to you soon.